we have to do the newspapers. Mamavi, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
You look lovely as always.
Good.
Right. So
Thank you.
Yeah, we have to do the newspapers. We start with the Ghanaian Times.
All right, here we go with the front page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Teachers fights NAPRA. That's the National Pensions Regulatory Authority over pension scheme. Release our 1.7 billion Ghana cedis in 72 hours or face sit-down strike. That's nuts. Making that demand. There's a president of NATS on the front page of the paper, Miss Philippa Larson. Also, Nenyin Issue is not president of Traditional Council. Senior Breku chiefs seem to be saying in the paper today. Police to enforce law on unauthorized use of sirens. President cuts sword for construction of J. Kufuor estates. I had no day-to-day operations role in defunct Capital Bank. That's Mensa Otabil saying then. That statement that he issued yesterday, a lot of people reflecting on that and some reacting as well. But if you go to page 3, car dealer grabbed for theft, driver remanded for stealing vehicle, and man accused of defiling 10-year-old girl pleads for leniency. Let's talk about the story on page 18, a bit of that.
Oh, okay, we're not doing
paper.
all the headlines first, or okay.
I don't know, whichever way. Let me just finish with the Times. Okay, so the Ghana National Association of Teachers, they've given the National Pensions Regulatory Authority a 72-hour ultimatum to release some 1.7 billion Ghana cedis belonging to the Ghana Education Service occupational pension scheme. Otherwise, it said it would embark on a sit-down strike until the NAPRA releases the money, which is in bonds, to the scheme's custodian bank. In addition, it said it would instruct the trust board to cease payments of fees to NAPRA. 2 weeks after the reopening of schools, this is quotes, for the first term of 2018-2019 academic year, we will proceed on work to rule for another 2 weeks, unquote. It threatened at the press conference in Accra yesterday. Details of that. This is one issue that's been going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We seem to be coming back to the same points. What's the big deal? Release it so that they are those people that they want to run the scheme for them can go ahead and do it. What's the big deal?
It is 1.7 billion Ghana cedis, though.
I know.
Quite a big deal in that sense.
Yes.
But
ideally, the money is supposed to be launched at the Bank of Ghana.
That is the point. That's
whether it's
but once you get your what's the name of that? You can ask for the money to be given to them to run it for you.
And I guess Mamavi's point is, if it's at the Bank of Ghana, it should be there. You know, unless it has been used for other things, you know, like liquidity support. But I doubt it. I don't expect that to be the case. What I do expect is that it should just be there, gaining interest or whatever it is, so that they can access it when needed. But, well.
All right, let's finish up with the back page stories. Second Lady launches Kopash in Accra. So Samira Baumia yesterday launched a coalition in Accra to advocate and draw national attention to issues of sexual and gender-based violence and other harmful practices against women in the country. And then GTA, Ghana Tourism Authority, introduces portal call center to market Ghana.
That's a good initiative, Kopash. Were either the outgoing or incoming ministers for gender, children and social protection present?
Let me look at it from the picture. No, you're talking about
the incoming has to be vetted first.
Yeah, that's right. So the outgoing, was she present?
You're talking about Tiku Jaba. Well, the picture I see here, I don't see her face. I don't think so. But why do you ask?
I ask because I was paying attention when the incoming was talking about her priority areas that she was going to pay attention to if she goes through vetting and becomes the minister. And I noted that she talked about adoption, the elderly and bostels. And in my mind, whenever I think about that ministry, the one big outstanding issue that comes to my mind is protection of children, you know, from abuse, where they don't seem to have made many strides. And you know, last year and this year, story after story of children in the central region and other parts of the country being defiled. and the path to justice being too winding and too slow sometimes. And I thought that would be an important area that the ministry would concern itself with. Perhaps the ministry was represented there, we don't know, but I certainly hope they were, because in addition to all of those priority areas that the new minister hopes to attack, really this ought to be somewhere near the top of the agenda, because it has not been since they took office in 2017.
Well, okay. You can read on the rest of the stories on the back page of the Ghanaian Times. Let's do another paper, guys.
Okay, how's the Daily Graphic? Yeah, should we do that?
Yeah.
Okay, Pastor Otabil speaks. Experts say he can't be absolved for collapse of Capital Bank. That's plastered across about 2/3 of the front page. And then release our Tier 2 contribution. Else, that's the story we were talking about earlier. Also, Parliament to begin inquiry into collapse of 7 banks. So Parliament, I wonder whether they will call the directors and shareholders, or whether it'll be rather the Bank of Ghana or the auditors, or perhaps all of them. I mean, if they want to do a thorough job, I would like to see all.
Yesterday, I had a member of the Finance Committee on Ekosise on Asempa FM say that the chairman had called for a meeting sometime this week. And so they were going to discuss it. But I think the bottom line is, I don't think Parliament has prioritized this, because we always keep talking about what happens elsewhere. You know, you want a certain committee of inquiry, you want CEOs hauled before them, questions asked, and it's been a year already, and there are lots of people who have not had their benefits. A lot of them don't have jobs. The little money that they could have started something with, they also have not received. And we haven't seen our Parliament representative of the people, you know, prioritize this issue.
At the thick of the center.
We haven't seen
that.
that.
But I think also by precedent, Parliament and its committee and its subsequent reports that are issued don't seem to find its way into the public domain by way of seeing those outcomes being implemented in a way. Unlike if you look at the best democratic jurisdictions, the US, the UK, etc., in which you have Senate committees, and if you look at history, they would have those outcomes implemented in such a way that it affects the institutions.
We've seen parliaments go on recess and come back for an emergency sitting.
All that
on other things.
To approve a loan.
This
But I'm
is
saying it's important that they do this, but I'm even saying that they should even go beyond just sitting and having their reports perhaps well implemented in such a way that even if there's no commission of inquiry or a committee set up outside Parliament, that we have representatives of us in Parliament making certain conclusions that will be implemented in such a way that the people will know.
Look,
that.
I think once again, it is our constitution that is working against us. Constitution says that the president should pick 60% of his ministers from Parliament. So in the end, Parliament ends up being part of the executive, really, instead of being able to check the executive. If 60% of those in the executive are from Parliament.
But in this case, we haven't had the executive say they are not interested in investigating.
No,
so of course, it's been a year.
We're talking about the outcome.
Yeah.
Even if they do what Mama
they
is
still
saying,
need the executive.
And there's a recall, and they come and sit down and deal with it. What happens to the outcome? Parliament is supposed to be at the same status of what is it, a high court? Or even
the committees.
they're supposed to be at that status. So there is a lot they can do if they wanted to. But Parliament itself sometimes reduces its own power because it will go against the executive, or perhaps it will give the executive too much work to do, or perhaps it will make someone look bad in the executive. So in the end, Parliament, where the majority is from the same party that has formed an executive government, Parliament ends up being a lame duck. You know, and yes, they can come and rant and rave about wanting to show concern and all that, which they haven't even done. And I get Mamami's point. They represent us. They should be reflecting our sentiments.
I get the point that, you know, the Bank of Ghana is the authorized regulatory body and they're doing this. But if you look at what has happened,
what are they?
There are some persons at the Bank of Ghana
who should be culpable.
Exactly.
But
so
when you say they are doing this,
there's no way some of the things that happen would have happened without the
So you don't
doing.
leave it entirely to the Bank of Ghana and say supervise this. I mean, Parliament can,
Because like a judge,
irrespective of what is going on. I mean, the
his own case.
government can be investigating something. Bank of Ghana can forward to IOCO for whatever it is, but Parliament could also do its own, because after all, that's the representative of the. You represent the ordinary persons.
Absolutely.
At least
And
ensure that the benefits that they are looking for, they get it.
And they show an interest in all kinds of things. So I wonder why this hasn't crossed anybody's radar. And it's not just Parliament. It's not just Parliament, by the way. The executive as well. Today, for the first time, I have seen in the Finder newspaper that Ken Ofori-Atta has talked about this. Okay, until he spoke about it, I was yet to hear anything official coming out of the executive arm of government about the collapse of these 7 banks. It's a big deal.
It is.
It's a massive deal. 3.5% of our GDP. This government has to go and borrow it. And by the way, another thing nobody has thought about. You know, Parliament gets approval for all the bonds that they seek to pursue in a particular period, okay? And they have gone for 2.2 last year. This year, 5.7 billion. They've also gone for that.
Government gets approval.
They are going for them.
Is that it?
Yeah, they are going for it, okay? But they are not going to have to come to Parliament to ask Parliament, oh, please, can we go for 5.7? No. They've already approved a certain amount of bonds. And now that these banks have collapsed, they have to take 5.7 billion of it for that. So what they originally earmarked those amounts for, what is going to happen there? What's going to happen there?
They're going for more bonds.
Exactly. But more importantly, why are we not hearing them tell us the impact of this on our budget, on the development projects and all the things that they said they would do? This money is more than capex.
But could you, it is obvious that it's going to have a dent on our expenditure.
Yeah, but why are we stating the obvious? Why are they not following procedure, coming to tell the people of Ghana, our representatives in Parliament, that look, this has happened. We're going to have to take moves A, B, and C, or we're going to have forfeit A, B, and C. We're hearing nothing about how this is impacting government.
We can't leave this to the Bank of Ghana. And also, if you look at IOCO in its past activities have not shown to be transparent, and so it's always shrouded with a lot of speculation that, well, it is a witch hunting, it is not witch hunting, they love certain, but unlike the FBI and all that who do investigations, they make it transparent. When there's a special prosecutor doing this, they make it transparent.
We had a fantastic conversation on Newsfile last Saturday, and one of the, I think all of them agreed, but Clara made a very important call. We need regular updates on this. Yeah. We shouldn't just sit and speculate.
And then one day something's thrown in our face and then we all start asking questions.
We should have regular update. This is so important. It's the biggest thing in the banking sector to have happen. We need regular updates.
And yesterday on my graduate platform, University of Ghana Business School, a lot of my friends who did finance and who are into banking, and I have lots of them because all of them were associating with the things that had transpired, and they all came to the conclusion that because they are middle level manager, etc., there's no way you look at across the banking sector, the things that went on have been recorded with the 7 banks. They would have known. They could have all the best degrees because it happens at the boardroom level, at the top level. They interact with the bank.
Somebody said, listen, for instance, Capital Bank, they had opened, I think the newest branch they opened just before the banks was Medina, and they say Medina is like, it's like a bank, like it was the nicest. And if you work in a facility where they are opening branches, how would it even cross your mind that the bank was going to collapse? Because if you didn't have money, you would not be opening branches.
And of course,
maybe it's part of the promotion.
The workers at that level are not privy to boardroom decisions.
I mean, no worker.
How could they possibly have known that they've gone for liquidity support, first of all, and that 27 million of it has been given to one member of the board to do, what do they call it, business promotion, which we are now learning actually was something else. You know, something that Mama B alluded to.
We need regular updates so that we know what we are talking about instead of just jump everything together.
I know people watch.
You owe us a response. Maybe not even IOCO, but governments. I mean, the information ministry will have to update us. These persons have been called before IOCO on this day, on that day, so and so appeared, and this is where we are with the process. Give us something. This is big.
Because it could have been a scenario. Let's say it was that we were cash strapped as a country. We didn't have good credit ratings. The institutions were not willing to perhaps float our bonds for us. We would have had no 5.7 and before then some 2.2 billion to bail out these banks.
Yeah.
What would have happened to the banks? It would mean that people's individual accounts, personal deposits, investment would have just gone down the drain. And that's what happened in the US because the government said, the American government said, this is what I can absorb. And the rest would have to be forfeited in such a way.
The point is we should not be spending 5.7 billion of our limited money.
Well, we have to. I think we have to because people's investments are in
not. We should not. But clearly you are right. We have no choice. But we should not. This should not have happened. Okay? And if it has to happen, it has to be as a result of a democratic decision. Look, what is the alternative? The alternative is that we allow the banks to collapse and people go and sue the banks for their money. Okay?
Which will be non-existent in a way.
Yes.
Because the bank has gone down and are liquidated.
Yes. But let me ask you this. If we had done that,
chaos.
No, chaos for the customers of those banks. Yes. Chaos for the customers of those banks.
Which categories of customers? You're talking about, it's not like you and I customers. People who have invested a lot of money.
You don't get the point I'm making. It will be chaos for the customers of those ones who are Ghanaians. Okay? However, they would then have to put the pressure on the people who made the decisions that caused this to happen. So a receiver would have been appointed, just as we have done. That receiver would have to track down those assets and pay back those customers. Okay? But we have decided as a nation that we are going to do it. Okay? So we've appointed a receiver, but we've created a bank. We've absorbed their, So
why don't we just also settle the people who need to be settled in terms of the workers? But we've got other papers to do.
Yeah, so let me just quickly go through the headlines because they almost seem to be similar. So collapse of Capital Bank, Otabil speaks, experts reply, almost like what is on the front pages of the top dailies. So one district, one factory, first company inaugurated. Stories on page 2. We're told that the first company has been inaugurated for the one district, one factory initiative. We also have a banking consultant, Richmond Akwesi Tiahine, a PhD holder, says Otabil statement on Capital Bank needless. And then that's on the back page. Obed Samuel's book on how Jerry Rawlings was at times exploited. It's on page 5 of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. Now let's go to the Daily Guide newspaper. It says partner government for development. Nana tells churches expect massive project, says Howard Kumsin. Remember, she's the minister responsible for is it special initiatives.
You know, it's interesting. I think we remember more of the websites. Was it 800?
It was. Don't remember me.
Sorry.
I wish I was the one who got that contract.
And they
Otabil
paid
breaks
another
silence
company
over
to
Capital.
do their budget. That's to be there. Budget.
It's called
But for me,
they don't know how to do a budget.
I think one thing that was outstanding for me was that the Ministry for Special Development was doing projects that other ministries should be doing, like building
special initiatives,
special initiatives. Like for example, building boreholes, putting together health facility, having ambulances. I said
duplication.
It's almost like an introduce ministry. All right, the final newspaper has these. It is not a bank failure. It is individuals who caused it. Bailout cash will be recovered. This is all being said by Ken Ofori-Atta. He says the persons culpable will be made to face the law. Bank of Ghana to prosecute executives of failed banks. That's according to Elsie Awaji.
Now, speaking to the Reuters.
Indeed. 326 million Ghana cedis UMB cybercrime case. 400 million Ghana cedi bail granted to 12 suspects. Wow. That's more than they attempted to steal. Financial burden cripples tuberculosis patients. That's according to a survey. And now this story. Yoko kept over 1.1 billion Ghana cedis.
Can I ask a question?
Government cash.
Who watches
wrongly.
The Watchman?
Well, this is the Auditor General. This is the Auditor General who has been watching the Watchman.
Okay,
that's
cool.
Yeah, but let me first of all read one sentence from the Elsie Awaji story when she spoke to Reuters. Okay, and this is a direct quote. It says, "We are working very hard on submitting a dossier on each of these banks to the law enforcement agencies to further investigate criminal behavior or what could potentially be criminal behavior and to prosecute." they are working very hard to submit a dossier. I think we can fairly assume that if the Bank of Ghana has a report about what these people did wrong to cause the banks to collapse, if the Bank of Ghana has been working with them all this time, giving them liquidity support, then they know what is happening. They have a dossier. So how much hard work is required to submit the dossier to IOCO? Can we all go and help them? Can we all go to Bank of Ghana and give them a lending hand to submit the dossier? Because they are working very hard to do it, but it hasn't happened yet. So maybe we should all, or maybe the National Service personnel, let's send some people to help Bank of Ghana submit the dossier so that IOCO can investigate. But speaking of IOCO, they themselves are some the one who, look, 1.1 billion Ghana cedis of our money.
But you get the drift.
Which drift?
The money was not supposed to be in the account. And
yes,
they
whenever
kept
they seize money, they're supposed to put it in a consolidated, what's it called, fund. Every penny they see, because IOCO is not a bank. They shouldn't be keeping money for any reason. But they are keeping it. Probably making interest on it. Probably. I don't know. But why?
Well, they can't use government money unless with some authority.
And most importantly, we can't find this money. 1.1 billion Ghana cedis of it. The Auditor General has looked through the books. It's not there. It's not there. 1.1 billion.
Manifest has a song, but I don't think there's a video yet. It's called Debbie, 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 Debbie.
Well, so we have to do the online review. Let's go to myjoyonline.com quickly and look at stories there. As we do that,
there's
we'll
a
look
story
at the headline
that I missed in the Ghanaian Times. Says delay in issuance of passport due to shortage of essential materials. So those of you trying to either renew or get a passport, they say they've got some shortages. But in the interim, they're focusing on priority cases, including the ongoing Hajj, medical, and emergency cases. So it's
shortage of materials.
Exactly.
That actually means shortage of money.
So they can't produce. Well, they said essential materials.
Because the materials, what can be, or do they manufacture them at the passport office?
They didn't say money.
But you have to buy the materials from somewhere.
They said essentials used to produce the booklets.
So they have to buy these essentials to produce the booklets. Yeah. If they had the money, they would have bought it by now. There wouldn't be a shortage.
Wow. Okay, before we go to myjoyonline.com, let's do some of your messages. This one says, I'm Eduji. I'm just disturbed, heartbroken, and dead as I walk because when AGT Microfinance took people's money and my 20,000 Ghana cedis away, I never heard you people talk about it. Why? He's asking. This one says, there's something sinister going on in corrupt-ridden Ghana. All right. This one says, as you go, okay, I think this is like an inspirational message. This one says, yesterday, Nana Appiah apologized to the Bank of Ghana and said that they were going to collaborate with them now. Does that mean that, what the Bank of Ghana was right? Our money is safe? Kelly in Tema. Kelly, I beg. You sound like you have something to do with them. Please call them and ask them or go and check. Me, I don't know. I have no business with them, so I would not know. This one says the police shouldn't hesitate to cause the arrest of all those hooligans who removed the Tamale Hospital CEO from his office and put them before court, because such incident is appalling to us as a government. Blueprint from Iscado.
Providing us with a blueprint.
Okay, let's do.
Can I make a quick correction first? You know, I said that the money, 1.1 billion, is nowhere to be found. Actually, that is not what the story is saying categorically. It is saying that the money has not been paid into the consolidated.
Okay.
Still, as we speak, it hasn't been paid.
Yeah. You're not supposed to be keeping the money, and that's an affront to the regulations.
Indeed.
As it is.
And that money is somewhere making interest. That's one. That is clear.
Well, you can't,
unless it's in somebody's.
No, you can't. You can't invest government money. It's also.
It's a crime. Yeah.
So you can. I'm not sure they're doing that.
Well, so you think it's in somebody's?
No. It's
under
just
somebody's bed.
It's just in their account.
Yes, and if money is in an account, it makes interest.
Let's do myjoyonline.
Let's look at myjoyonline, but before then, look at Herald. And then we
quick headlines here. Ejaku buries Ghana in $82.6 million debt. Dossier reveals huge financial loss to the state. Details are in the paper on pages 3, 4, and 5. Top Occupy Ghana man dragged before Amidu over fishy government contract. This is actually supposed to be Sydney Casely Hayford. You know the Ghana gas bottling lady.
Not a contract or something.
Yes, there is
70,000
there is a petition to the special prosecutor to look into her activities, and that petition includes some questions about a contract given to Sydney Casely Hayford as a financial analyst, helping the financial consultant. Thank you, helping the Ghana gas bottling plant. And he's been paid, according to these reports, 70,000 Ghana cedis for his work. It's just that some members of staff, a finance man, is asking what work was done for the money.
Well, let's look at myjournline.com now.
If they can't find anything that he's done, they should send him to Bank of Ghana to help them submit dossiers.
You know, Duke is responding to that. Duke and Tamale says Bank of Ghana is pissing Kojo.
Yeah, so I think Bank of Ghana is actually, so in quotes, pissing all of us off.
No, I think, you know, like it's like you love them, you hate them kind of thing.
Yeah, they're supposed to do the regulations. So we do myjournline.com, and we have a couple of stories. Ashanti, 3 key hospital projects miss completion deadlines. We go to the next. We know it's because we stalled the project over the last 18 months. Small-scale mining, government schedules August 16th to announce roadmap for lifting ban. But we have other stories.
Yep. Banking rot, a senior economist 2017 memo provides the key to insights. And of course, this is Habibu Adam, who apparently has a memo he sent in August 2017, which really pretty much pointed a massive finger at what was about to happen. Also, banking rot, Occupy Ghana calls for ruthless action. Yes, first they will have to work hard to submit the dossier. All right, what else? Tamale Hospital, doctors and nurses strike in support of CEO, and there was something quite gratifying about how quickly they came to the defense of their CEO.
Yeah.
With that action.
We all like it actually. I think a majority of us are in support, except that you see, at the end of the day, it's ordinary persons, it's ordinary persons who are waking up to go to the facility to get some help. But they would suffer.
I think the benefit here is that a government which would otherwise not have acted now has more pressure on it to act, and perhaps that's a good thing. Yeah. Right, Employment Ministry chases Finance Ministry for over 200 million Ghana cedi refund. Hey, so right now, who is not wasting our money? Who is not keeping our money? The Finance Ministry itself, apparently, way back in 2016, took money from the accounts of YEA and haven't returned it. 200 million Ghana cedis.
Yeah, you know why you're supposed to get the receipts from the statutory point where they always, and then, you know, the money was used for something else.
Hey, so you remember what they used to call YEA? JIDA.
Yeah, JIDA.
JIDA.
NYEP, JIDA. Now we've gotten where.
Why money keeps disappearing from these youth institutions, I wonder. Partner with government to help develop Ghana. That's what Akufo-Addo is telling churches. And finally,
I think the traditional ones already do a lot. It's the Latter-day Saints churches, the internationals. Apparently, they all have.
Roland, don't go there. Let's do Huawei.
They all have good tentacles.
Huawei surpasses Apple to grab #2 spot globally. Wow, these technology companies are really making massive strides, and yeah, I guess that's the new frontier for wealth.
Somebody says Otabil should have shut up.
Yes, that's an expert who is
Dr.
condemning the statement. Yeah, and I've heard many other people expressing that view. That, to be honest, he has not improved his situation in any way.
We have the BBC.
And Afron is not only in Ghana.
Eradicates deadly school toilets. The 2-year initiative comes, yes I am, after a 5-year-old schoolgirl drowned in a pig's latrine in March.
I stand with.
Okay, so I think in recent days there have also been conversations around, especially from the central region, and then we're linking to KE, exactly, you have a toilet, and then in other circles, is it that you have a toilet or you can't marry my daughter? that kind
well,
of thing.
they are encouraging people.
I don't know why I
Apparently-
like that so much.
Yeah, apparently this was something in India or so.
Yeah, and there's been a movie on it.
Yeah.
We have a top movie star who did this, and he wanted to marry. He married a woman, and the woman insisted, well, if there's no toilet, no problem.
Yeah.
Right? She said there should be a toilet.
Apparently, it was a big
And-
societal issue,
Yeah, a whole
and
state, actually,
that resulted
decided
in rape because you know
Yeah.
women will have to wake up very early or late to go somewhere and do it, and in that process, people were raped, people were attacked. So then it became mandatory. If it happens to me, then I wouldn't want it to happen to my daughter or you know my
If
young
Kumawood
girl, so-
wants to do a movie to support this, what title
Yeah.
should they give it?
Ghana, TFUno.
I knew you were going to say something like that.
I
There are
think
lots of stories on
I think they should go with
myjoyonline.com.
Hwitim.
And all right, we've got sports
Abonten
coming
Frama.
up. One of the biggest sporting stories in Ghana is the threats
Cool
by
Breeze,
FIFA
parts 1 and 2.
to ban Ghana.
Cool Breeze.
And we've had the Minister of Sports reacting to that letter directed at the liaison team.
Story is very
and
interesting.
directed really at Dr. Amoa. So I'm sure Benedict will be here to tell us a lot more about what Isaac Kwame Esiama, this is the statement that government issued. It's not really exactly clear, but they obviously disagree. Benedict is here, will tell us a lot more. Stay with us. We've got good conversations coming
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Of course, Pio Gabra is on our show this morning.
We also have
and
AM Business.
yeah, exactly.
Then we're talking.
We invited some
yes,
young
that's right.
entrepreneurs on the show today. You know, they started a business, they got some funding, but they would tell us how they did it all. And
The
today,
Cosmos.
when exactly Cosmos Innovation, so they would tell us how they began, where they are, and hopefully they can inspire you to begin something on your own.
I've got it.
What?
Tiefia money hunu part 1 and 2.
Well,
Stay with us.
just get a toilet in your home. You avoid all these titles. We're taking a
One
break.
toilet.
One home.
Yeah, that's it.